All right, we're on page 115, and we are working on absolute value. We have a number line here for us to, again, we want to make sure we go back to 0, and we know that things get, as they go away from 0, things get bigger to the right, and as they go to the left of 0, things get smaller. The example on page 115 is graph -32 and then find its absolute value. Now, my graph doesn't quite go to -32, or my number line doesn't quite go to -32, but that's approximately where it would be if my number line was extended. I would, move it way down to the left, or as far to the left as I could. Then find its absolute value. Well, in order to find the absolute value of -32, we just want to know the distance. -32 is from 0. So there are symbols that we use to show the absolute value of -32. The symbols for absolute value are just two lines on both sides of the number -32. -32, its absolute value would actually be 32 because it is a distance of 32 from 0. So absolute value is just the distance from 0 to the point. So the absolute value for -32 would be 32. Now on the very next page, on page 116, it goes through a bunch of examples of absolute value. I'm going to write some of them down here for us just so we can kind of figure out what the absolute value is. It's got -5/8, and it's got the symbols for absolute value. Well, -5/8 would be somewhere right about here on our number line. The distance -5/8 is from 0 would be 5/8. So the absolute value of -5/8 would simply be 5/8. There's another one. I'm going to move it up here because I'm running out of room below. -1 7/16. What would the absolute value be of -1 7/16? Well, -1 7/16 would be somewhere about here on our number line. The absolute value of -1 7/16 would actually be simply 1 7/16. That would be the absolute value. Now you might see a pattern here. Absolute values are not going to be a negative number. Absolute values, in this case it's +32, in this case it's +5/8, and in this case it's +1 7/16. Now even if you have an absolute value, like the next example on page 116, it's 2 1/8. 2 1/8 absolute value is 2 1/8. So if you have a number that has no negative, if it's 2 1/8 and you're trying to find the absolute value would be 2 1/8 because that's how far that number is from the number line. The last one they have is -3/8. I'll move -3/8 down here. If we're taking -3/8 and we're trying to find the absolute value of -3/8, it's simply going to be 3/8. So -3/8 would be, somewhere by this dot. So it'd be very close to -5/8. In fact, it'd be just a little bit closer to 0 for -3/8. So -3/8 absolute value is 3/8. 2 1/8 absolute value is 2 1/8. -32's absolute value is 32. -5/8's absolute value is 5/8. And -1 7/16 absolute value is 1 7/16.